What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. So we are back with another discussion video, and y'all already know I had to invite a few guests as usual. You know, you guys tend to expect the discussion. Like before the season even finished, you guys were like, all right, I wonder who you're gonna get. You should get this person. You should get this person. Okay, hopefully you guys will enjoy this discussion. As always, these are always received very well. And you already know I'm going to have the links to the channels down below. So this is going to be a pretty lengthy video. So, I'm going to keep it nice and short. So whoever wants to go first with their intros can go ahead and knock that out.
Guys, we're here for more Haikyu discussion. This is Caleb and Jacob, of course. Yep. Semblance of Sanity. So excited to talk about our Haikyu boys being back. And Arizaki, like, really surprised us. But yeah, go check us out, YouTube, all that. Thank you so much for inviting us, AyoLaxzone. I'm so excited.
Of course.
What's up, guys? It's Mike from Karasuno TV here, and this is like an out-of-body experience. I think I'm in the presence of like royalty. I mean, what a shock. Thanks again to Lax for reaching out. I mean, I was more than happy to come talk about Haikyu. What a season. I mean, every time I think about this season, the goosebumps start to come in the arms. I mean, there's really nothing better than sitting down and having like a discussion with like other passionate fans. It's really going to be awesome. So thanks. Yeah, the channel is Karasuno TV. Pretty new, just started it in August, so sort of still getting my legs under me. But big inspiration. The guys here with me. So thanks again, guys. Really looking forward to this.
Listen, I love it when you butter me up like that. Hello, me. But yeah, this is definitely a great thing to do, and that's just always been my thing. Even since I started my channel, like I knew that I wanted to, kind of like bridge the gap between, just the anime community, like reactions in general, just because it can be very kind of like isolated. And so this is just a way of kind of just, bringing people together. And again, just like Mike said, talking about things that they're passionate about. So we're going to just dive right into this. And we kind of just want to talk about our overall thoughts of, this second part of this season, which, I mean, I loved it. I mean, I feel like if you've seen the videos, y'all know I loved it. Honestly, I can't say anything negative. Sure, there are some negatives, which we will touch on here in a little bit. But for the most part, I enjoyed the entire match. I enjoyed the conclusion of the match. I enjoyed the focus on all the other different characters. Not just the match itself. So, yeah, I love this season.
Yeah, like. Did you guys get the feeling that when they started to introduce in Arizaki's like characters, like deeper backstories and stuff, that you realize, wait, no, Karasuno, I don't actually want you to stop these guys' dreams entirely. Right. And we kind of repeated the whole same process from season 3 over again, and we're like, oh right, our crows are scavengers, and they're going to devour them and take their abilities, their dreams, the lessons and everything. And I love this season. I love this season so much, but I'm going to be gushing about a couple like specific characters, and that's what hit me about this season was there were 2 characters that just shone out of the whole thing and just took the season to the top for me. That was like that.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about this season, and this is something I feel like Haikyu does very consistently, but having those parallels between Karasuno and the teams that they face, so that it's not just that we get to see Karasuno win and Karasuno grow, but we get to see how they're similar, right? And how their journeys are kind of the same, and then why specifically Karasuno ends up winning, assuming they do. So yeah, I think they did that incredibly well with Arizaki, even compared to other matches that they've had.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that something that stood out to me almost immediately was, part 1, right? We sort of get the cliffhanger with Atsumu, right? Silencing the crowd. Right? He has a very like stern look on his face, right? And that scene stuck with me. And then, flash forward, was it like 6 months later to the beginning of part 2? And I think we got the opening in the first episode, but at the end of the opening, it's something that stuck with me, is that like the Atsumu, the Mia twins are like smiling and they're just happy to be playing the sport. And I was like, hold up, like he looked like a villain, you know? And then of course, you know, Furudate just took us for like the similar ride. Like you have this team, we're like, dang, like we don't like those guys. And then like after, you know, the end of the season, we're like, wait, they're done? That's it? Like,
Right.
no, come on.
This can't be it. Yeah.
I mean, like I'm shocked every time, but like I shouldn't be, because it happens every time. Really a fantastic season, and I think it had the highest highs of the series to date. Like these individual moments, some of them that we'll like touch on later, some of the best in the series easily.
Yeah, and like I said, overall, it was a great conclusion to this season. I mean, it was just the build up. Like I love I know I'm like almost kind of like skipping around a bit. I don't really like I said. Just like I told Caleb the other day, it's like long as we finish with Hinata and Kageyama,
yeah.
So, but I kind of want to touch on like Nekoma real fast, because it threw me off with them even focusing on them as much as they did. I was not expecting that, and that just kind of the build up to this match is even more because of that, because it's like they focused on it for a reason. Like we got to see just the whole side of like just Kenma and his growth over, you know, what is he, the second year? So we got to see him kind of like, you know, kind of like slowly kind of love the sport a little bit, find his own reasoning for kind of continue and things like that. And when he was exhausted, the sheer effort that he was, Kenma.
This was the season where they basically took all the boys who are just like normal, all the boys who don't have those godlike talent and abilities, and just really like found a reason to love this sport. And it didn't necessarily come from them specifically. Like like for some of them, it was born out of something like innate, like Tanaka. It just came from that fiery spirit. But like Kenma getting that like relationship, that kind of brother dynamic with his teammates and stuff, and then ending his little course with wanting to do this all for them, and he's like, "What? Why can't I do all this for my friends?" And it's just like, oh yeah, you go on hating gravity, you go on like chugging your way forward. I love the Nekoma focus, and it is basically saying the big match. Well, this was a big match. The big match, which the Battle of the Garbage Dump
is coming.
That's season 5, y'all.
But like, I think my favorite bit, like my favorite single bit from the whole Kenma like focus, was when Kuro is like, "Hey, want to level up?"
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking his language.
Exactly.
The jogging scene where like the game characters are like going, you get to see into his mind. That was beautiful. Like, I mean, like I'm sure like we've all had like an experience like that where you're like on like a run or something and your mind's completely wandering, and like that was like we like got to like peer into Kenma's mind. Oh my gosh, like I feel like we know these guys. It's so crazy.
Just to kind of see just like how this started. It's been leading up since season 1. Like they've been talking about this match since then. So that's why like when the season ended, that last episode with the call back to them walking and facing each other again, I was just like, with
and opening one playing,
and opening one.
As soon as that started playing,
opening one was just the perfect amount of fan service. They're like, hey, you guys have been waiting for this. You guys have been ready for this.
Well, it's coming.
And Hinata has given Kenma that fiery like. Ooh, I kind of want to play against him. I want to kind of beat him and stuff. Oh, now it's happening.
That was great. Like they ended that. That's why I say the season ended so great, because like I said, with the opening playing, and then just like the flashes of really just focusing on Hinata and Kenma. It's just like I'm afraid of this game, but I'm so excited for this game at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Because it could be the game to send off the third years.
Yeah.
And it would work because they would get that match. So it would mean so much to them, regardless of whether they win or lose.
Yeah.
But the build up The build-up is just,
Yeah.
it's there.
And
Oh, yeah.
they've been, with all of Nekoma's development, right? In this season, it's almost like we have like, another group of main characters, right? Another main character team that we're rooting for. Just because, like Lax said, it's been building up since season 1. They've been present in season 1. So I think that, it's going to be familiar in a way because we know them so well. We've seen their matches, but I think we're still going to be shocked by like how deep both teams are going to dig to get this out. And it's sad because we're going to, you guys were mentioning, we're going to have to see third years lead, and we are on one side, so
and
that's what's going to be crushing.
And this is something where Haikyu as a show, right, makes us care about Karasuno's opponents, right, and in wonderful ways, right. And then when the third year's on the other team, this is the end of their season, right? It's always crushing. But I feel like that is usually happening with third years that we more or less just got introduced to, maybe a little bit before the match, but pretty recently.
Yeah.
But like you said, Lax, this is from first season. First season.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to see Kuro.
Oh my gosh.
If Karasuno does win, we're going to have to see Kuro. Nope, that's the end of your time with Kenma, and, at least on this team. And
Yeah.
No more goofy science jokes.
Right.
Right.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna
No
be
more
tough.
hyena laughter.
Yeah.
And it's so bittersweet because, as we all know, we've been watching Haikyu for a long time. We fell in love with every team, every character, and so that's why it hurts that much more knowing that somebody has to lose.
Right.
It sucks. But it obviously sucks more for the third years because this is their last chance. Tanaka, Noya, Hinata, and them, they all have another chance. So it's like they're not done if they lose. So, but Asahi, Daichi, Suga, they've all they want this so bad.
Yep.
I mean, just a quick callback to season 3. I mean, the emotion that welled up in them when they won. It was just like...
Yeah. I can still see Asahi and Daichi's just we did this.
The tears
what
streaming.
a breath of fresh air, but just the tears streaming down their faces. And God, that's the thing. When Haikyu wants to sell us on the emotion that these characters are having, they bring us. We're just brought in.
Right.
We're right there on the court with them, and it's powerful, and thus we then remember those individual lines, those individual scenes, those moments where the Yosha, it just pulls you right back into it. So,
you feel it throughout your body.
Right. It's special, and this season delivered on that multiple times.
And go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say, I remember, it's just speaking on the whole Nekoma Karasuno, playing. I remember when this season, right, they sort of revealed the bracket, and I hadn't known until then. I thought that because Nekoma was coming from Tokyo, I thought they were gonna be on the opposite side. I remember I was like, wait, the next match, if Karasuno wins, is gonna be against Nekoma. It was after Nekoma won their match. They went and then they took a look at the bracket. I was blown away. I'm like, it's not going to be in the final?
Yeah.
I was if that happened, I would have been at least they could have gotten to the final, but this is going to be crushing either way.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. And I definitely want to kind of get this, little portion out of the way before we dive into it anymore, just because
right.
This is the one negative, I guess, of the whole season, which personally,
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, personally, it's the animation. Now, it didn't bother me. Now, obviously, I noticed it, but I didn't bother addressing it at all, just because it didn't take away from an episode for me. Cause I was immersed. Like I said, I saw it, but I was also watching that ball go across the net and some rallies going on. So I was just I ain't worried about some weird looking faces and weird little I wasn't worried about that. So like I said, that was the one negative that apparently turned a lot of people off of the season. Which, because I read the comments and
that's disappointing.
It is kind of sad to hear that a show that you love so much, you can be so easily kind of, I guess, you could easily kind of just drop it.
Right.
Because of something like that. But like I said, it didn't bother me at all. Like I said, still love the season. But I am curious to hear what you guys think about it.
Oh, I tell you what, I have a lot to say on this topic because this is something that boils my blood. I mean, so first off, like for Haikyu, right? You know, when you're looking for good animation, like in this show, I think that it's the most successful when it's like emphasizing, right? So like for instance, in this season, when Suki's going up for a block against, who was it against? It was
Rintaro.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And you see the like, you know, like the dark shadows on the palms, right? Really emphasizing, you know, the intensity of the block, right?
Mhm.
It's not necessarily like, you know, something like My Hero, right? Like a great, like smooth, fluid fight, right? I think that's where Haikyu shines, and I think that they had all of that this season. But the industry, you know, like the anime industry as a whole, right? I don't know, you know, how much do you guys follow, like, you know, the animation, the production schedules, but it's usually always tight, right? Like they're always behind schedule, and like, you know, it's usually like studios trying to get like adaptions, you know, and like, you know, they get a manga, you know, or something like that, and they're like, let's push this out as quick as possible. So everyone's constantly under pressure. So, you know, even in the best circumstances, things have to get outsourced, which is the one episode, right, you were alluding to, Lax. Like everybody really hated that episode.
Yeah.
Even though like I didn't even like it did register a little bit in my mind, and then but like that's not, you know, like I was able to just sort of like keep moving past that. But I think that this season especially, like there was a pretty clear impact from like, you know, like the pandemic that was going around and just the work conditions behind that, because there's like a famous like blog, Sakugaboro. It's like a website, and they have like a lot of clips of like well animated like scenes from anime. It's almost like an animation database, and they have a blog as well, and they do like write-ups on animation, and they did one on I think this was during season 4 part 1. They did it on just the phenomenal production of Haikyu, and just how production IG, like they've planned it out, they've stuck to a great schedule, and it's just been so great. And you know, obviously this season was like, you know, it came out of the blue, and like with the circumstances, it kind of got, you know, things got a little bit mucky. So I think that's where you could point the finger. But I also feel too, like, last thing before I like take up all the time is in season 4, at the beginning of season 4, right, they did a shift in character design, right? The animation director and the overall director changed, and they went to more I think in an interview they said it was very faithful to the manga. They wanted to switch to that, and then you could see in the first part too, even in the well animated moments, like the in-betweens were very rough and very, like, they didn't look, if you pause the video, right, it looked weird, but like all as a full picture, it was nice, and it did justice to the source. So I think people kind of confuse that as well. They're like, oh, this doesn't look good, but it was a stylistic choice as well. Basically, like, I think it was still fantastic, and I think that especially when you take one episode as compared to the whole, and all the great moments were so beautifully animated. Oh Lord, I don't know. How do you guys feel?
I feel like with this season, it's one where, like, we more, if anything, only noticed it when people in our Discord would send us freeze frames of like Daichi's head just twisted backwards, and it would be like, oh, I didn't even notice that, because
Daichi, your neck.
Right. Oh no, Daichi, I thought you died in season 2. What? How right. You can't just keep doing this to me. But like, I really feel like when you can get into like the thing of where you're like, oh, I freeze framed and I found something funny. I definitely can see like how that would be off-putting to someone, but I remember from the discussion for that I was actually just applauding the animation that I did find interesting and really good. And I didn't even notice really that much until that thing happened, because my background and stuff is so like completely, that whole side of the art animation is completely alien to me. So when that was brought up, it was a good thing of maybe managing a little bit of expectations, in that Haikyu up until this point has had some of the best Sakuga just casually thrown into matches, where an Oikawa serve looks better than most anything happening that season. like it just looks so beautiful.
Right.
And this season we had basically a more like, oh, the Sakuga is there still. It was just maybe in an art style that people weren't as familiar and adjusted with, because we've rewatched Haikyu seasons 1 through 3 so many times. So we have that attachment to, Kageyama looks this way when he's doing this. So maybe it's being a little bit conflated, like you're saying, Mike, that people are like, oh, it's the art style in combination with the in-betweens being a little bit off.
Right.
God, when they had those high moments, though,
oh my lord,
they were so good. Like, like I'm not. I also feel like I don't know enough to really make too much like comparative statements and things like that. But usually the things that would stand out to me would be like when the characters looked weird, right? But not the actual like motion of things. Like and most of that I can remember was from the first half of the season. Like and I haven't gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, so I don't know if like which one actually had more or less issues with things like that. But I feel like the general impression I got was that they improved on some of the issues from the first half. Could totally be wrong on that, but and when they wanted the animation to shine, I feel like they really did an incredible job. Like all the moments that I'm thinking of those highlight moments, I'm just like, yep, nope, that looked beautiful, that looked gorgeous, yep.
Good. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's what we're about to talk about next. So just some of our favorite moments from this second half of the season. Me personally, anything that had to do with Tanaka, but
good. I've been waiting for this discussion specifically to hear you go off about Tanaka, man. So just take it.
Listen, there was first of all, I was blindsided. I was not expecting, first of all, this season to highlight Tanaka the way that it did. Like, I mean, first half we got the Tanaka and Kanaka stuff, and then second half we get Tanaka actually like showing like mental struggle, like, because that's something we normally see from him. Like, we normally see him just kind of just hyping everybody up, riling up the troops, and this is like the first time where he's like, I'm not doing so good right now, and he's like, I don't want to keep underperforming, and I ain't gonna lie, I kind of had to like defend my boy a second or two. like listen, I was disrespected when Kageyama didn't set to him. I was like, Kageyama, no, you didn't. Like he is trying so hard right now, and it's like, obviously watching it over again, I understand it, but like me being a Tanaka fan, and then also the athlete in me, it's just like, I know what he was going through, like just kind of like feeling down on yourself because you want to produce for the team, but it's just like you're not right now. And it's just like, and then when Kageyama did what he did and not said it to him, I was just like, like that blew me away. But it was just like, but it was what he needed though, because it's just like he finally dug deep, and that jump off the cliff, I was just like,
my goodness, the symbolism.
Like the jump off the cliff, the climb up the mountain. I was just like, and he even said there's only a few times where he feels like this. It's not. This is a rare moment for him. Like, because again, what we seen from Tanaka in previous seasons, that's what he is. Like, this was just one of those moments where and Narazaki was just such a tough team that they pushed him to a point where he was just like, what more can I do? So just seeing him kind of have that moment to where he finally pulled through, and like the callback when Coach Ukai said, he has the qualities of an ace. Like, he definitely proved it in that moment. Like, Tanaka, Ace-oo!
Oh my god!
Like, that point, or just like Tanaka's moment, was like nailed home for me when I think he gets blocked, right? And then there's a shot of him, and he's got his eyes closed, and he's like looking up, and he almost has like pain on his face. Tanaka, he's always, he always has struggles like on the inside, but he's been so like strong and like in not showing it on the outside. But when he shows that like that frustration, that like on the outside, that's when it hit for me, and I'm like, this is a huge moment for our boy here, and oh my gosh, it's so delivered. That was amazing.
Yeah, he seems to always be the boy of extremes, where you're like, he's extremely funny, he's extremely passionate, and then he goes into sometimes extremely wise. Like I swear, he has this like Buddha, like he just has he ascends to greatness, and yet in this moment, I felt like he was more alone than he's ever been in the entire show, and maybe he is in these extreme ways to rally people to his side, so that he doesn't feel alone. Because I was thinking about season 3 when Shiro Torizawa was kind of personified as the mountain, you know, that was basically transforming into the great bird. It was like a falcon or an eagle.
Yeah.
But in this moment, he was staring down the mountain alone. And when he was reaching out to either, you know, almost Tsukishima or Kageyama, it was like, no, you might get put off here. And I was thinking like, oh shit, they might just actually just take him out for a few points. That's kind of like what I thought was going to happen, because it would make sense to give him basically a mental reset.
Just like to breathe,
just dispense this, breathe and stuff like that. But the memory of when he thought back to, well, actually, Kaneko kind of thought about that specifically, but him basically thinking like, you know, I'm not really anything special. I'm a pretty normal human being.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay, this is some cool self-awareness. But then for me, it was just like when Kaneko basically was like, yeah, you might not be special, but you genuinely made me think maybe I'm special.
Yeah.
And then I realized, holy shit, this is brilliant character writing. That he is the second year that will be the senpai in the third years, like in the future, that will rally everyone. And dude, are you captain material? Like, is this like that was where my mind went, and I was just like, oh my god, please just go Tanaka. And then of course Haikyu has to give him that powerful moment where he succeeds. And no, he's not a discount Bokuto. About that trash.
When that was said, I was like, whoa! It's like, hey, I respect Bokuto, but don't you dare ever talk about my boy Tanaka like that.
How he brought it together too, right? I mean, he brought it together in that moment when he hits that cross, which was fantastic. But then, towards the end of the match, he doesn't back down and he hits that insane line shot at the end too, which that is arguably even more of a challenge, because that was what he was getting blocked on, right? He skirts around the challenge. He doesn't skirt around the challenge, but he overcomes the challenge. In the first set, right, with that cross shot, and then he doesn't back down from the line shot at the end there, and he hits that and he nails that, and two amazing moments. I mean, where can't this man hit on the court?
And in that moment he basically transcended Bokuto, because it was his ego being put in check, where he's like, Kageyama, don't set to me. Like
that whole bit is I think my favorite like moment of the Tanaka focus, because when he is the normal guy, right? He has the energy and the passion, but he doesn't have the superpowers of Kageyama or Hinata, And when he's thinking, no, I am playing at my absolute best. This is I don't want to change a thing, because I know if I change it even in the slightest bit, it'll all come falling apart, right? But right now, in this moment, I am performing at my peak. Yeah. And then Kageyama comes along and was like, hey, but you're not alone, and what if I could take you a bit higher? Yeah. Why don't you take the leap for me? Yeah. And then he does, and it works.
That's like so perfectly. It felt like they basically used individual players, just like they did in other seasons, just to be like, all right, we're going to spearhead you in the story, and you're going to be attached to other characters' development as well, and pull them in. And that just felt so perfect.
Yeah. And I think he's really being pulled forward by the third years, because just with that callback of when he first joined, and he like got to see like Daichi, Asahi, and Suga, and they kind of like did that little laugh, but their eyes were like dead. And they were left by the whole falling crows things. Like, and Tanaka was like, "Oh, these guys are strong." Like, I was just like, right there and there. That's when Tanaka he just had that change of heart, where he was just like, you know what? That's when he came with the shaved head, and then like he was all in. He was like, these guys right here, they love the sport. They want to show everybody that, you know, they ain't the falling pros no more. And I just think that, like I said, they're pulling him forward. Like even though, like I said, we don't see a lot of the mental struggle that he deals with, I think he try so hard to, I guess, be uplifting and everything, because I guess he kind of got that from them in a way, because even though they had that bad reputation on the team, you know, they still kind of had to like portray like, oh, we're good, we're cool about it, haha, dead eyes.
And he was the one second year that stayed.
Yep, I was gonna say that.
He was the one second year that stayed throughout it all. So
you're right.
When we get introduced to Karasuno in season 1, it's the third years and Tanaka. Tanaka feels like one of the third years. He feels like one of the senpais that's carrying the spirit of Karasuno. So then when we get to see his spirit actually falter a little bit, it's all our spirits, because he's the team spirit that has kind of almost pushed Hinata to be the new spirit of Karasuno. And yet he's okay with that. Because
And the people on the sidelines, they see it, right? You know, even if Tanaka is like, okay, I'm nothing special in a similar way to Kanoka's whole situation, right? But they see it because you were special in ways that even if you don't appreciate it, right? They do, because that was something that they couldn't do.
And it's so good having his sister. On the sidelines cheering him on and just like, just screaming.
I loved it every bit of it. I was like that's a sister right there. Like she was rooting for him. She was tears of joy. Like she was she was there for him, and I was just like, yes. Oh my god, I loved every bit of that.
They did a really good job. Speaking of his sister, just of like the presence and the impact of like both teams, like their crowd. I mean, I feel like, you know, they did it a bit in Shiro Torizawa's, because Shiro Torizawa was so overwhelming. But like this one it was almost a coordinated, well, it was a coordinated effort, right? To get in the heads of like both teams. And I was so caught off guard when, you know, the drum came out for Karasuno. Like, that caught me off guard. I was like, everyone's out here fighting.
Hey, she said, not again. It's like, I'm not repeating this again. Like, no, we fight back in these stands. I loved it. Now, other than, I guess, Tanaka, because we definitely talked about him quite a bit, which is great, you know, because I love Tanaka.
He deserved every minute.
Are there any other, like, favorite moments that you guys, I'm sure there's a lot.
So I'll bring up a really specific one.
Oh, yes. The goofy one?
Yeah. Hinata with the double machine guns. That was amazing. It was beautiful.
Talking about the skills of the players. And we see like Tsukishima with the shield, and you're like, oh, okay. But then Hinata's just there like dual wielding AK or something. You're just like, oh my god, this show. We had the Hinata Kageyama bazooka, you know, back then. But now it's like Kageyama's not even in this shot. Hinata's just dual wielding it.
Right, exactly.
Our feral wild child. Who gave him these weapons? Right. Who taught him this? You guys are responsible.
Exactly. He's like, this is what they wanted. They wanted me to become a weapon. I'm a weapon now.
I swear, his little things that he does crack me up too. Like after he gets the foot point, like he turns around and, you know, like most people would be like, okay, you know, like whatever, you know, I got the point, like not my best point. He turns around, he's like enjoying it with the crowd. He's like, woo!
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Now I kind of wanted to save this for like the end. I kind of still want to save it for the end, but it's definitely Hinata. Like. It's
oh my lord.
Do I want to save it?
Man.
Do I want to save it? I don't know.
Oh. I have something we can bring up if you want to save that.
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, can I just gush about Kita right now?
Go ahead, go crazy.
I personally came into this call with just the like, here's my Kita love, and you are all going to take it. The bucket of just here we go, guys. So just get ready here.
Yeah.
Kita, in my opinion, is probably one of the most genius things of this season. They gave him only really the one episode to wedge his way into our hearts.
Right.
And he didn't play the first set.
Right.
Nope.
And when we saw him in the first part kind of have the interview, we're like, oh, this is the captain. Oh, this is the big dog of Miyazaki. He's tall. He's got that silver hair, which means kind of in anime terms, you're like,
Right.
ooh, hyper competent. He's got something special about him. No, he doesn't play the first set.
Nope.
That was crazy to me.
I'm like, wait, what is he? A pinch server, like a closer or something? What does he do? And then backstory, context. This guy, in my opinion, is the calm mirror of Tanaka this season. They basically took a guy who is the spirit of Inarizaki, in that he's the one that keeps them focused in the present, ready to play at 100%, primed. Nothing of it is self-serving.
Yeah.
He is so excited to play with his team and just be with him. When he got his jersey and started crying, that moment just skyrocketed him to the top 10 of Haikyu characters. For me. Just
that one moment.
Oh, I love the moments they give for characters to show where their passion transcends the sport. Because we all know when we're shilling this show to people that Haikyu, it's ultimately a sports anime, and that's not some people's cup of tea.
Right.
And I don't care about volleyball. You know?
Yeah, I love the Pro CD video. Volleyball anime? I don't give a shit about volleyball anime. And the set, the straight, it's just the passion that you get for these characters transcends the sport.
Yeah.
So when we see them getting passionate about the sport in this way, and it's about basically their family, it just hits this critical point, and I'm just sold on it. And when we get his focus, he's got no spectacular skills. He's got no like special serve or any like special thing and stuff like that. He does have that kind of Daichi fill in the gaps of his team thing. Yeah. But he's just a diligent good boy. Yeah. And the fact that he even made Atsumu come basically this close to crying as well, just with a little care package and stuff.
The care package was
So how did they do it? How did they take the Suga, the Daichi, the Tanaka, like all these things that we love about other characters and just package them in one and make me fall in love with him in like 20 minutes?
And you know what I love about that? Is that he's the third year, right?
Yep.
He's going to leave. Now, there's, as if that wasn't enough, there's also the whole idea of, okay, in future years, right, not having the third years, that's going to be something different. How does the team perform, especially if the third years are some of their best, like in the case of Oikawa, right? Yeah. But the thing is that he's not the kind of person that people would say, oh, you'll be really pressured to still do well without him on your team, right? Because he's ordinary.
He doesn't stand out.
He doesn't stand out. And
I
yet,
think this was the first match he played. I think somebody told me that this was actually the first official one that he played in.
It might have been.
Something like that.
Yeah, and that just makes it even better. And the idea that Inarizaki as a team, they are going to feel lost without him. Like they are, like there is a hole that will need to be filled. There is a void that is going to be there without their unshakable leader from the sidelines.
He was definitely like as Oikawa would call it, Suga, Mr. Refreshing, you know?
Yes. Well said.
Like that's exactly what he was. Like it's just like once he stepped on the court, like almost everything was going like in Arizaki's way, you know? And that's what made them such a tough opponent. Like we're used to Karasuno having such a stacked team, like all these different weapons. But then, like, I would probably say Inarizaki was probably the first team that had just as many weapons as Karasuno. Like, 'cause when you got Rentaro, who we just could not stop, bro. Like, he was just, you know? And obviously, Suki came in clutch. Was like, okay, you can keep doing that, but I want you to just hit it over there. Yeah. And then you got Aran, who really they couldn't stop because he was just power. I mean, it's just, and then you had both the Mia twins. I mean, it was just, and then you throw Kita in there. Like I said, they had just as many, you know, weapons as Karasuno did, and so it definitely made for a good match. Like,
oh my god,
it was a nail biter. Like I was honestly getting nervous. I was like, are we gonna lose? Like I know. Like I was over here, I was doubting my boys. It was like, no, there's no way that they're gonna lose this, but it's like it's possible.
I was a doubter too, and what's crazy, I think this is the first time they won the first set.
Mhm.
like in at least in
Yeah.
recent games.
One of the first times where I believe they won the first set. I'm not sure about the Shiro Torizawa match. No, never mind. No, never mind. Shiro Torizawa completely took the first.
Yeah. I think the first one was the
no, I
body.
remember how that one went.
Because the second one ends with Tsuki.
Yeah.
Right.
So just speaking on what you guys were saying before too about Kita, I remember seeing the promo image released in between part 1, part 2, and it had all the teams lined up. It had our boys in their nice neon orange, and then it had the Inarizaki guys lined up, and it had Kita right in the middle, and he had his arms crossed, or so, maybe he was holding the volleyball, and he had his jacket draped over his back. I'm in typical anime badass style, I'm like, this guy's a beast. Like this guy, when this guy gets on the court, we're gonna have trouble. He gave me Ushijima vibes. And first set goes by, I'm like, okay, what? They're not using their best player? They didn't use their best player. I know he's their best player. Come on, this is an anime trope. We know he's. And then he comes on. Right, that impact that he has, and then the significance of the jersey when he gets the jersey, right, the passion, the tears coming down his face, and that's when it clicked with me. I'm like, it's like that trope that I'm thinking of about the powerful anime character. It was completely different. The jersey wasn't on his shoulders because he was a strong player. It was on his shoulders because of how important it and how symbolic it was to him. And I was just blown away. My jaw hit the floor. I mean, he was so great. And then his final words as he goes out about being proud of his boys and talking about his team, that just hits home.
Yeah, how he's how he wanted to say, what was it? He wanted to say something one more time. That he was he said something.
He was really glad to play with them. Basically.
Yes, that's what it was.
Something about how
he would
I have
tell
a
his
really
grandkids
amazing team or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just liked how Atsumu was like, no, we got this. We good. So I was like, I love that. And Narizaki, Kita, all of those guys were great. And obviously, when the Mia twins decided to throw that quick at us, I was completely blown away because I was. And Kageyama sensed it. He's like, "Oh, what is it? Hold on, I know what this feels like. Hold on."
Right? Is this what it's like to be on the receiving?
Right.
And the fact that apparently that was the first time they tried that
Exactly.
ever done it. What? And they did it perfectly.
Yeah. That was crazy. And I remember Keto was like, I hate it when you guys do things in matches that you don't practice.
Mr. Diligent over here this is not consistent.
Right.
That was really awesome. And you're breaking my rule by doing this.
Yeah.
It was even the same line that I think Kageyama had said season 1, this angle, this timing,
Yep.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was wild. And then, this is another little moment that I really appreciated. It was just at the very end with, old Coach Ukai and, Coach Ukai. I don't really know how to to them. But just them having that little moment at the end where they were just talking about, his boys. First of all, when he said, "No, my boys want this game," I was like, "Hey, yeah, you say that." But and then the big old smile that Coach Ukai had at the end, he's like, "Oh yeah," it was just such a good moment because we don't ever really get to see them having bonding moments ever. The only real interaction we really saw was back in season 2, when he was sending Hinata and Kageyama there to kind of learn the tempos. But other than that, we didn't really, get much of that bonding between those two. So I really appreciated that. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other great moments because it was a big match. There was a lot of great moments. But I think I really want to touch on this the Hinata Kageyama stuff because one, I'm gonna say it now. I didn't even realize how much of a change Hinata has made until Suga had his little flashback and he was almost brought to tears because you look at how Hinata was always just I want to spike, I don't ever want to leave the court, which I mean, I still don't want to leave the court, but but to him, kind of just like transitioning to more just, first of all, he just seemed so much more positive and happy, and like he was so cheerful. Like it was, I guess I didn't really realize it until Suga just kind of like hit me with all those flashbacks of just how hard he's worked to get to this point. And then the whole got it. I was just like, just out of nowhere, you know, Coach Gus like, slow it down. They wasn't slowing it down. So he was like, okay, admire that ball in the air.
Ball boy Hinata.
Yeah.
Ball boy Hinata. For everyone that felt like, what was all this time, this slow paced part 1, season 4 kind of stuff? This is why. This is why. I so appreciated back in season 2 when Hinata's selfish greed kind of thing clashed with Kageyama, because it was Kageyama being worried about whether or not he was reverting.
Yeah.
And Hinata being the one that's like, I want to evolve, I want to grow.
Yeah.
In this case here, when Kageyama gets elevated to go to the summer camp and stuff, and Hinata's like, no invite for me, and kind of his selfish greed kind of stuff takes him there. But then the Shiratorizawa coach kind of recognizes a little bit of something in him and Hinata, and he's like, okay, you can stick around and be a ball boy. And Hinata learned. And he applied it here. There are so many times in like a sports dynamic where you'll see the player learn the thing but not really apply it. They'll have the head knowledge of it, but they won't translate it into what they do. So his receive, his observing, his being patient, all of this translating to a player that at the end of it, you know, you had Onitsuma Miya being like, I'm going to set to you. You were so in love with this game and are such an enigma of this sport and stuff that you're making me more excited to set to you than I am my own damn twin brother. Like, like that hunger, that excitement from Hinata balanced with what he learned over the course of this. And then just in context with where Kageyama is right now. We've been on a journey with these boys.
That's just Hinata's receive there destroyed me. It was a buildup of everything from season 1, episode 1. Every like step that Hinata has taken has like led up to this point. And then, you know, talking back to the animation, right? This is one of those scenes that was animated phenomenally, but it was also directed fantastically too. And like every shot that showed it, just like further like destroyed me, and like, you know, like the tears were free flowing. I remember somebody came into the comments, they were like, this is like a happy moment. Like, why are you like bawling your eyes out? I was just like so proud, you know, like for him because of like every step that he's taken. And, you know, when he makes the receive, like the look on his, like it shows you can see the red marks on his forearm. You feel the weight of, you almost feel that on your arms, like the ball that hit. And then you see his eyes, and you know, they did a perfect job of like, you know, almost drawing like strain marks around the eyes, and you could see just how wide-eyed and how much he's admiring it. And then like from there it cuts to the Japanese national coach like looking up at it and just like admiring it, like this is beautiful. Beautiful. And then, oh my gosh, and then you see Kenma in the crowd too, giggling, and everything was so perfect. Oh my goodness.
It was really good. And similar to how I said, like the third years were pulling like Tanaka forward, like Hinata is constantly pulling Kageyama forward. Like when it was almost in the beginning the other way around, where Hinata was trying so hard to, you know, be on Kageyama's level. Now, like when Hinata was like, give it to me next time, Kageyama was like, no, I'm gonna make sure I get it to him. And he said it to him. I was just like, yeah. And then of course he had to hit him with the I win.
Hey, Kageyama, did you see that reserve? Did you see it?
You know what's also so crazy about that receive is like, you know, because the framing of a couple of the shots, you might not be able to see the full context of the court as if you were watching like the game on like TV or something like that. But like the whole like back right corner, like almost a quarter of the court was like all free. Hinata was like the only one there, and he went one-on-one with Inarizaki's ace Aran. That was like that was their best spiker. You know, who the guy that they'll put up against anybody, against Noya, that would probably win. And I love how after we have the scene, we have the speech from the coach. It goes to like the little like eye catch, the little birds flying right in the middle of the episode, and then we get the perspective from Hinata, which was I mean, like what a fantastic way to like nail it home to see what he's thinking. Wow.
Yeah.
I keep playing that clip over and over again, and like I'm like, damn, 2 minutes really making me cry again.
Yeah. I just think they both were on their A game. Like both Hinata and Kageyama, just like Atsumu was pushing Kageyama like setter to setter, like he was making Kageyama work, and again, just that one great moment where like caught me off guard. I didn't even know this was part of the rules when Kageyama went under the net outside of the court. I was just like, hello? I was just like,
I didn't even realize he was on the other side. I was like, wait, he was on the other side.
Yeah, that threw me off. I was just like, is that allowed? I was confused. But I was like, it's our point, I guess. Take it, yeah.
Right, yeah.
There were so many moments in this section of the season for Hinata and Kageyama that I feel like which is great because they're the main characters, right? So, you know, we want to have focus for the side characters and everything, but at the same time, these are the main characters for a reason, right? So, you know, they've been doing each a lot of growth, right? So much so that like I feel like I can't even remember all of the amazing moments that there were. Like because we've got Hinata's receive, you know, Hinata going for the out of bounds one and you know getting it up just that little bit, right? Which is then enough for I think it was it Daichi or Suki?
I believe,
or maybe that was actually Suki.
I think that was Suki.
Suki
tipped it up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes, yeah.
No, I got you. Yeah.
But like,
yeah, and they framed this kind of timing of the development focus for Hinata and Kageyama to be at the end after we had gotten the Mia twins focus. To remind us kind of that really these two sets of duos are here competing to show who with the sport. And then we had Kita kind of discussing that angle of things from the sidelines, kind of bringing up another thing with regards to talent and skill. I love anytime Karasuno Haikyu as a show actually brings up the whole skill talent discussion in general, like with like Paola back then. But Hinata being the character who really does have that perfect little mix of both, combined with his the drawback of being so short. So when we see him having these moments and his hunger goes up to the point where he moves Atsumu, right? He moves him like it's like those guys really want to be here, and maybe this one specifically wants to be here even more than I do. Like
I've never seen someone like that before.
The guy that grinded just like hitting the ball up by himself when his twin brother was the one that had all the natural skill like out the gate that pushed him to where he's now even slightly better than his naturally gifted twin brother. And then he comes here and sees the one that should have all the issues playing volleyball. He doesn't have natural stuff with the height and everything. You're like, okay, Hinata, show you've moved me. Like it's so good.
I think one of my other favorite bits from Hinata is, and I think this is what I was getting mixed up with the Suki bit, but when he blocks or hits the ball back up from like way out of bounds. And then runs in to do a spike. And I'm pretty sure we've seen stuff like that before from Hinata, so it wasn't like it surprised me on some fundamental level, right? But that kind of a thing just goes to showcase, no, he loves this. Like he is so giving his 110% effort for this that of course, when Atsumu's looking at this, he's just like, wow, that's I'm impressed.
Well, I mean, what a multifaceted character too. I mean, that is still all within that same volley, and this is just what goes to make just the show as a whole like so, beautifully written, right? We have Hinata makes the receive. This volley continues going on. Hinata runs, jumps out of bounds almost, right? Makes that another great receive. Runs up for the spike. We have a nice shot like of his back, like almost like the ace shot, right? Sort of like a little tease, and then it doesn't end up going his way. But we have to remember too, after all of that, Karasuno like loses that point, Remember, both sides are very desperate to get this point because they realize the weight of it. And then another area in which like Hinata like goes to show how important he is. You know, it's him like just making like a joke almost about like focusing on the receive, not really harping on the fact that they lost 1 point out of, you know, what, like 70 something points that they like play in like a full match, right?
Yeah.
And you know, remember everyone's mood was down and this really like cheered them up. Everyone was like had a nice laugh, and he did that there, and then he did that at the end too when they were speeding the pace up. Yeah, you know, these characters they're not one dimensional, you know. It's like they all have these moments that like help their team, you know, whether it's small or big. So fantastic.
Yeah, and you know, Hinata alone, he's such a great character in the sense that what you were talking about, Mike, like how he can kind of really just motivate the rest of the team to kind of like just keep, you know, fighting, you know, not giving up. Like don't let the negative or don't let, you know, you being down kind of, you know, get in your head. Like, we can still win this. Like, the match isn't over, you know? And I definitely want to touch on that because Suki was having that recollection also. Like, he was, you know,
Suki.
Listen, I'm just saying, I love the growth that Suki has had over these seasons because the fact that now he played to the point of exhaustion, to the point of where he just dove for it all.
Like, he doesn't make that dive early on.
Up a little bit. Yeah.
Oh my god. Like, that's just not something I would have expected from season 1 Suki, season 2 Suki. Like, this is this is him slowly just, well, really falling more in love. And he even said, you know, now Hinata has had his moment and stuff like that. Like, I just like, I love the growth that Suki has had. And to think, like, he's still only a first year. Like, so he's gonna be a problem like second year. Oh, I don't even want to see them second years. They go,
oh jeez.
He's like a conductor. It's pretty crazy. Ukai makes a comment. This is actually right before Hinata's receive, talking about how on his game he is because, you know, like he was like reading everything, and he goes over to, I think he marks up Osamu, and who then, like, you know, sets it in midair and throws everybody off balance. But he was so on his game. He's a team player, right? I mean, you know, like I think you mentioned it before, Lax, about how he was letting everything through, right? And he was like eating his pride and letting like everything through because that's the best way to stop Rintaro.
Yeah. And the trust that he has for Hinata as well, because I feel like like there were so many bits of growth with the characters in this season that I didn't know I needed, right? Like whether it was Hinata's receive or, you know, because Hinata also kind of swallowed his own pride too and was like, hey, I'm going to be the person that is the biggest help for my team overall as a whole. Suki noticed that, right? And because of that, he was okay with, yes, I'm not going to stop this ball. I'm just going to send it to you because I know you'll take care of it. I know you'll receive it. You won't let that ball touch the court.
Yeah, he basically had a line. I remember something like you better be back there. Like, it's like you better. There's multiple moments where the characters will every once in a while forget that there are other players on the court because they get so like, oh no, I gotta solve this. I gotta fix this. And then they realize that there's 5 other players in the court. That moment just comes in and they're like, okay, I'm just going to mitigate. I'm going to do what I can to stop the attack. And there we go. There we go. It's so good. And
to kind of like wrap it up with, you know, obviously Suki, like realizing like when that final quick was about to happen, like everyone was kind of shook. Like, they didn't know what was going on. And Suki was like, the only 2 that were not fazed by this was Hinata and Kageyama. And I thought it was so fitting that it wasn't just Hinata who blocked it. It wasn't just Kageyama who blocked it, but they both blocked it. And I was just like, to think, these 2 who butted heads when they first, you know, joined the team, who Daichi was like, oh, y'all can get along? Here's your papers. Y'all ain't allowed to play. Like, to think these 2 are both stop that ball. I was just like, wow. And then that last clip at the end where they're both just like, just exhausted. I'm just like, oh, it was such a fitting end to that match.
Didn't it? Go ahead.
Crazy too how exhausted they were, you know, from a 3. It really goes to show how pushed they were for 3 sets. compare that to Shiro Torizawa. Remember, they played 5, but like that just goes to show how vicious and how like much of a slugfest this was, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice that the way that they blocked was the way that Abajasai wasn't able to block in the end of the second match, because it was 3 blockers going up for the quick, but one of them was a little bit shorter, a little bit off kilter, which ended up having it deflect off of one hand to where Oikawa missed, because Oikawa had the right line to be able to receive the quick.
He read it.
But basically in this one here, this was them in perfect sync, covering for each other, both providing half the block there. And you really feel like it's a thing of like, hey. Yeah, we're the team that steals other attacks. Right there. Like,
don't think you can try and do that to us.
But it's time for us to move on and go to the top. So,
and what I love about this is that it's something where, because Inarizaki is such a strong team, right? Like, I want Karasuno to win. But Inarizaki is stupid strong. It's like, how do we show that in a way that feels believable, that they're not just winning because they're the main characters? Because we've seen this hard work that they put in. I want to see it be something where that hard work almost wasn't enough, right? Because it took every ounce of it. And the fact that it almost was something where no, even with that hard work, if it had just been anyone other than Kageyama and Hinata that Inarizaki had been up against, if Kageyama and Hinata hadn't gone on the exact journey that they had, it wouldn't have worked. They would have lost. Like
100% too. Just the existence of the Mia twins directly contrasts Hinata and Kageyama. We were saying before how the twins just started using this quick in this match, and it's like a genius direct contrast to the beginning of Kageyama and Hinata's like duo, because remember how dependent they were on this quick to begin. Even with it's been an evolution of their duo from the beginning. Hinata closing his eyes, and then they grow a little bit, but they're still largely reliant on each other. Not until like season, the first part of season 4 do they start to become individuals, well-rounded players. And then the Mia twins ultimately lose the same way that Hinata and Kageyama did season 1. It's like it's poetic is what it is.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, it felt like they were the rivals that they didn't know that they had all along,
Right.
and will ultimately become the friends that they made along the way. They didn't know they were going to make, because Kageyama and Miyatsuma were set up as kind of rivals from the training.
Right.
Yeah.
But it ended up being a thing where Miyatsuma almost like kind of fell in love with Hinata from the other side of the court. Like, boy, I'm gonna set to you.
Exactly.
We're
you
gonna
better
have this
be at
happen.
the Olympic training camp. Like
next
year
year or
because
something.
No doubt he's definitely gonna be there next year. No doubt. Like he has done so well in this match alone, in this tournament alone, that it's just like they would be crazy not to invite him.
He's something special. He's that, what was that, Hoshiumi kid? He's like another one of them just kind of coming up out of nowhere, and they're like, whoa.
Exactly. The only difference is this is just his first year officially playing. Like he never played for real in middle school. He had one match. So of course he's unheard of because he doesn't have a background of volleyball, So and it's just crazy to think like this is still all the seasons we've watched. This is still only his first year. This is only his first year, and we've seen how much he's grown in this 1 year. Like he's gonna be scary good. His second year,
even Shiro Torizawa's coach, he had that silent acceptance sort of at the end. Remember the other coach? I think somebody told me he was the yellow team.
Joe Zenji.
Yes, Joe Zenji. He was their coach, and he gives him the call, and then like no words, he's like, "Yes, I watched," and that's when you're like, "Yeah, he watched. Yeah, he watched."
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a good season. It was a good match. You know, I mean, I have no complaints about what I saw. You know, it was all refreshing. You know, I'm happy with it. I am nervous for next season, but hey, we gonna ride this victory until then.
Right. Because with the Nekoma match, it is the true coin flip. Like all anime tropes and everything aside, we can predict as we will that like, oh well, in Arizaki they kind of have to win because they're building up the Nekoma match now.
Yeah.
But with Nekoma, with the team that's basically like their cousins, their family that's like extended, you know, and it's like you guys, like we saw the OVA, we saw how hard like Nekoma had to push to get into this and stuff. They want to be here just as much, and then we're going to have to say goodbye to one of these teams for the season.
No winners. No winners here.
Yeah, exactly.
The only winners are us because we're gonna feel it all.
Right. Exactly. And before I wrap this up, we did not mention this. It's a very small moment, but we didn't mention this. But the seriousness of Bokuto. Like I was caught off guard because we've only seen him as like this kind of like, you know, hey kind of, you know, just kind of like happy-go-lucky. But first of all, the intensity, that how immersed he was in the match itself, like how he was feeling everything, you know, like with Asahi and stuff like that. And then
he's
like, his will to win is just like, I was like, wow, this is like the eyes. I was just like, this is another side of Bokuto that I want to see.
Yes, and we might end up seeing if they do the same thing that they did with Nekoma this season in the next season.
Oh, you're right.
Having Fukurodani go up against maybe a powerhouse of some kind or something like that. I would very much love to have Fukurodani end up being basically like the final team. Like
scary.
Oh my god.
That was in the last episode too, which was like the one that cap off the season, and it was just like a perfect Haikyu. You know, we love the matches, but like we got to see all their characters in their elements, right? I think we even got a shot of like Buddha, Tanaka too.
Yep.
One little thing I just got to say, because people are gonna like laugh at this if I don't mention it, because I loved the meme of it all and stuff. The random Nishinoya focus with his grandpa. Yes. Why Nishinoya is such a little like a little wild gremlin at times, and we're like, well, that makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
I was like, why did we get this season 4? I don't know. It's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. That was just another side of Noya that, you know, I wasn't expecting, because just him and having his moment of like, you know, fear and everything like that, like that was unheard of from Noya. So, but that backstory of seeing him as a child and the torture that his grandfather put him through.
And shout out to Kinoshita. We didn't mention when he points to the bench.
Yes.
Getting his hero basically to be Tadashi in this case, who's the first year that put in all this effort to inspire him. Yeah, they actually really did do a huge service to all the characters to give them a little moment. Just a little special moment. And that's wow, this part was jam-packed.
Yeah.
I know, right?
A lot.
The worst thing about it is, like, I know once we stop, there's going to be a whole lot more that's going to be like, oh, should have thought of that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bits was with Oikawa when he's watching the match itself, right? He's just watching it from his phone. And then all of a sudden he's just like, all right, gotta get back to running. Like, you know,
Kageyama did it. Kageyama's become basically a team where he's lifting them all up and stuff. And he's like, well, he learned that lesson. That little shit.
Right, exactly.
The mom with her kid is just like, wait, he has this fierce look all of a sudden. You know.
that was a cool thing that they did, was the emphasis on other teams watching, right?
Oh yeah,
and
that.
in the final, it was in the final volley, right? It was just before the Mia twins went up for their final, a spike that gets blocked, their final quick that gets blocked. One of the Seijo players out there, he was slamming his desk. He's like, "Yeah, get back!"
Yeah.
That passion from rivals. I was blown away.
Yeah,
and it ties into the ending too. Supposedly, like, if you translate the lyrics, it's like you see all the players watch the teams from the same prefecture Karasuno comes from watching, and then they're like training. It's like, one day we're going to get there, sort of deal. But like, I loved that them watching and cheering, slamming the death passion.
Yeah, it's just really good to see. It was really good to see. Like, they're all watching. They're like, hey, these are the guys that beat us, Like, we want them to go far. So yeah, I mean, they've already done well with their reputation. They've already improved it. They are no longer the Fallen Crows.
Oh,
so yeah, it's really good. Like I said, fitting into the season. Like I said, I have no, I'm not disappointed with it at all. Like I said, if anything, let me get that release date for season 5 already.
I need it.
Yeah. But are there any comments or anything you guys want to say before we end this?
Oh, okay. This is a silly one. But when after the match, when they're in the baths and everything, right?
Oh!
Come up out of the water, and it's like, wait, is this fan service with Kyoko or something? Nope. And then what? It's Hinata as he's swimming. Like,
that's the greatest decoy right there.
Bro, I was completely caught off guard with that. I was like, okay, we see Kyoko and Yachi having another bonding moment, which I always appreciate, because I love the fact that Kyoko has someone that she can mentor, who's going to take the reins from her when she leaves, But then you go and you just see these little booty cheeks. I was just like, what? I was like...
I mean, even in those small moments, like, those characters, they're so well fleshed out. They're in their element. Hinata's acting like Hinata does on the court.
Yeah.
He's like clearly annoyed.
Yeah.
Like, I think he was like, he was like brushing his teeth or something. Man, that was funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
I completely forgot about that. There were so many like little goofy moments like that.
Gosh.
And like, just for me, like, the only thing I just want to keep like shouting out specifically here was that this season seemed to be about when our teams get pushed to those moments where you have people that are like in those tense situations and stuff. That inspiration, that passion, that motivation comes from someone else so often. And that's something you don't get in most sports, unless it's a team sport where the players are like physically close to each other. There's just a vibe. You can just get it off each other.
Right.
And having that be something that crosses the net is something that I feel like is just, that's quintessential Haikyu.
Yeah.
Is that the passion that's on the screen crosses the net of our monitors and stuff and comes into us, and we're like, all right, just let's have some more. Let's keep doing it. I'm fired up.
Yeah. It's really good. It's really good. All right.
The only thing I have left to say is, Lax, thank you so much. Seriously,
Yes.
this and same to the Semblance Bros. This was awesome, guys. I mean, I could feel the passion from all three of you. That's insane. I mean, and the community behind the Haikyu is so passionate. I mean, I always see, shout out to everybody. I always see positivity in the comments. I mean, there of course there are some fan bases that are toxic, but like, always positivity. It's always everybody just loving every moment. And it's great. But thanks again, Lax. Thanks again, Caleb and Jacob.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. And listen, like I said, this is what I like to do. I know how passionate people are about Haikyu, and again, just like you said, the fan base I love the Haikyu fan base. It's probably one of my favorite fan bases, because it's just nothing but positivity. Like, we all have our favorites. We all love our boys. So it's like, what else do we need? So no problem.
too many kids,
Mhm.
and it's just the excitement of like, oh, which are your favorite children? You're allowed. Those are your favorites. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Great choice.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
He's my second favorite, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, like, again, it was a good time. It was a good time. So like I said, as always, whenever season 5 comes, and there'll be another discussion to follow that one as well. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to it. Again, like I said, always a good time, having you guys here. Definitely looking forward to future discussions. And like I said, their links will be down in the description below. So definitely go show the channel some love. Show them some love. We Haikyu strong around here. Yeah. But
this was so much fun. I love it.
Yeah, good stuff. Like I said, hopefully, as those of you that are watching this video, you kind of feel our passion coming through, because that's just one of the perks of kind of doing stuff like this, is that you truly can feel like the love that we have for this series. Like, it's just such a great anime. And like I said, I'm still waiting for another one to take that hold from Haikyu, because right now Haikyu up there.
Yeah, I know. It's the king. It's gonna be tough to dethrone it for me.
Yeah.
And the manga's apparently over, which means eventually,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to actually say goodbye.
Yeah,
I'm not ready for
that's
That's crushing.
don't talk about that right now.
Like I said, I'm not ready for that at all. Like, that's gonna be probably the saddest moment ever. Just thinking like, this is the last episode of Haikyu that we could enjoy. Like, it's done, no more. That's it. Oh yeah. Hopefully it takes like 10 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys that are watching enjoyed this as well. And I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.